Welcome everybody to the December pop-up networking for introverts call. I didn't want to hold it the third Thursday this month because it's the week of Christmas. So I thought it would give you a little break and also to kind of switch it up because we're meeting on a Wednesday this time and it seems like it works pretty well for everybody. So moving forward, we may take a little poll and see if Wednesdays at 12 or 1 or whatever in the middle of the day works better. And I'm open to that because as I was telling them before I hit record, I am making some adjustments to my massage schedule and going to be seeing less physical clients so that I can focus more on this group and also more of my other business, which is my professional speaking business. So I just want to welcome everyone today. We're going to be talking about giving yourself the gift of self-care for the holidays so you can really enjoy yourself. And since we have Nita as our new person here today, yay, Nita, I just want to go around the room and have everyone take maybe 30 seconds to introduce themselves, say your name, where you're from, a fun fact or an interesting fact about yourself, and I think that's it. So we'll start with Leslie because you're on the top of my screen.
I'm cracking up at my name spelling on there. I have no
Oh,
idea why it's showing
Leslie.
Leslie, but it's Leslie. Hello,
Oh.
Nita. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I live in Gloucester, Virginia, and interesting fact. When I was in the second grade, I used to put up the flag and take it back down in the afternoons at school, which I don't even know if they do that anymore, but that was a really cool experience.
I remember doing that. We all took turns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, Angela.
Well, my son did that last year, so they still do that. I'm Angela. I am originally from the Chicagoland area, but I moved out to Phoenix about 3 years ago. And I always say a fun fact about me, and I will not demonstrate it, is that I can lick my elbow. And when they tell you you can't, it's a combination of double jointedness and a very long tongue. And you can't. So, yeah, when you're by yourself, you could try. Anyway.
That is so funny. I love that. Thank you, Angela. And Richard.
Hi, my name is Richard. I'm from Bolingbrook, Chicagoland area. And a fact about me is that I love trains and model trains, watching trains. So if I could, if I could stay in my basement all day and work on my train set, I would. So
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Richard. And Nita.
welcome.
Hi, my name is Nita. I'm from the western suburbs. I'm currently in Chicago, which makes it lots of fun to commute back to the burbs for work, but I'm partially remote. I'm addicted to travel. I sell travel. Um, I also am having fun being as crazy with my grandchildren as with our boys. For example, on Christmas, they would get presents that came from Sharky the camel, all kinds of creatures. And that's continued even into adulthood, much to my kids' chagrin. It started when Bill was learning to read. So cat and dog go up the hill. But then it got to be giraffe is looking in the window at school and getting in trouble from the principal. Sharky can't come on the school bus anymore because he wants to eat all the children. So I do that for my grandchildren. I still do it for my sons.
That's what, oh,
I
that's
make
so cute.
I'd make every holiday over the top. Filled
That's
the room with balloons once for St. Patrick's Day. But it's so wonderful to see my younger son carry a little bit of this. I don't call it insanity just because one of them does, forward to the next generation.
love it. Yeah, you got to have those fun traditions because if you don't make it special, it's not going to be special. It's just going to be another day. So yeah, I love that. Thank you and welcome today,
Thank
Nita.
you.
I hope that you can join us in the future too.
Yeah, that's the one plus with working at home if I don't have Zooms for work and things. I've got more flexibility than in an office.
All right. That's great. Thank
There's a
you.
plus to everything.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive in and talk about our self-care topic. So I was looking back through some of our different topics, and of course, if you know me, then you know that self-care has saved me in my business. As I was mentioning with massage, like I am actually going on being a massage therapist for 20 years in 2024. So that's kind of why I'm taking less clients. Thank you. Taking less clients because it's so physically demanding on my body. And, of course, we're traveling to people's homes and setting up and cleaning up and all that. So, if I didn't take care of myself when I started to feel the burnout many years ago, then I probably would not be where I'm at today. So, so I'm grateful that I was able to recognize that I was starting to feel burnout and take the steps to get a massage again. Because when I was in massage school, I was getting massages all the time because that's how we learned. We massaged each other. And then I got into my own business and no one was doing that for me. So I had to make sure that I was taking days off. I was getting massages and taking care of myself in other ways, but also the little things that really add up throughout the day. And so that is really what saved me, is like taking breaks throughout the day, even if it's just 5 minutes to close your eyes. And for me, it's a lot of times it's in the car because I'm going from client to client. I sit in my car and I close my eyes and I take a few deep breaths before I turn the car on, or, well, of course, if it's cold, I already have the car running. But just take a few minutes to close my eyes and to center myself, regroup, and kind of even just go over the last session and then make that a transition before I drive to the next one and start the next session altogether. So just closing your eyes, breathing, maybe even putting on some music. Those are really great ways that you can just take those little moments out of your day while you're driving, even while you're walking to a meeting, or if you do work from home, taking the time away from your work area to do something really nice for yourself. And so this is going to, obviously, it's going to span out into your whole life. So it's not just around the holidays where we really have to focus on this, but it's just adopting this all the time. And yeah, as I said, if I didn't do this for myself, then I would just be completely burnt out and I wouldn't be a great massage therapist. So also recognizing that in all of our lives is super important. So when you start to feel a little bit worn out, or, just can't figure out why you wake up in the morning and you just feel really tired and like you want to go back to bed, well, it might just be that you're overworking yourself or putting too much on your plate. So recognizing that you are feeling this way, that's probably like step one for realizing that you need a little bit of extra self-care for yourself. So as I mentioned, taking those 5 minutes to do a little meditation, prayer, breathing, just closing your eyes and being silent and doing nothing. I mean, sometimes we feel like we have to fill the silence all the time, but we don't. We can be silent. And a few months ago, I talked about how I was reading that book, Golden. It's based on Silence is Golden, and how taking the time out of your day just to be in silence is huge, because there's always noise going on, whether it's social media that's dinging and pinging our phones, and so much going on. There's just lots to do, lots going on every single day of our lives, and we're just like inundated with noise. So just being silent is huge, even for just a few minutes. But if you feel like, okay, I can't sit in silence too long, start with just 1 to 2 minutes. And then you feel, okay, my thoughts are going too crazy. maybe put on a guided meditation, or maybe put on your favorite song that brings you back and grounds you or cheers you up if you're having a little bit of a rough day. So working towards 5 minutes of quiet time in between your appointments or in between whatever it might be that you're doing. Or, like Angela, maybe she has to go pick up her kids and she turns off the car as she's waiting in that school line just to close her eyes and take 2 to 3 deep breaths or even 5 deep breaths before the girls get into the car and they start, mom, 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 mom. Is that how it goes, Angela?
I was going to say, were you in the car? Did we pick them up together?
Well, I know your girls and they're super chatty and I love that about them.
They are, especially the Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. So, whatever situation that you're in, going into another situation or another appointment, just taking those few minutes just to regroup yourself and center yourself. And being alone, that's another really great thing that introverts love to do, to recharge our batteries. So what I talked about in one of my networking groups is networking for introverts and what to do before, during, and after parties or events or any kind of social gathering. And this pertains to anything in life, especially now that we have a lot of things going on for the holidays where we're shopping. And I know a lot of people now shop at home online, so you're not being as social maybe in that aspect, but there are still holiday parties, there's still family gatherings. And as we all know, sometimes those family gatherings aren't our favorite because there might be one person in the group that you don't get along with, or maybe you just butt heads or whatever. So by preparing yourself ahead of time and then knowing what to do during, and then of course afterwards, setting a little bit of extra time so that you have that downtime to go over what happened and recharge yourself. So we have to think of ourselves as a cell phone. So we all have cell phones, and what do we do at night when we go to sleep? We plug them in. We are the same way. We need to be plugged in, and not only just once a day, like our cell phones. Sometimes our batteries don't last because we're using them too much. So we got to plug them in a few times a day. But that's how we have to look at ourselves. We have to plug ourselves in several times a day to prepare for our day, the next meeting, the next event, the next gathering, whatever it might be. So that's why I started with taking the few minutes before you do something, whether it's just 1 to 2 minutes or even up to 10 minutes, to be alone, be quiet, listen to your favorite song, plug yourself in so that you're centered and grounded and ready for whatever's to come. And there's obviously so many other self-care activities that you can do to prepare ahead of time. So if you're maybe a morning person like me, I'd like to get up in the morning and I do I hydrate, I meditate, and then I activate. So I drink lots of water. I drink tea in the morning. I do my prayer and meditation time, and that's usually about half hour, 45 minutes. And then depending on how much time I have in the morning, I usually will take probably another 30 minutes to exercise and stretch. And then I get ready for my day. So it all depends on your schedule and how you can fit it in. But if I have a busy day, I need to take those extra moments to, maybe do some restorative yoga instead of jumping around in my living room like I do just to burn off calories or just to have fun. But that might burn off too much energy for me. So instead, I put on maybe a restorative yoga or something that's going to stretch out my body so that I'm ready to tackle my clients for the day or whatever I might have that day. So just being aware and pre-planning for your day, your week, your month, whatever. But I want you to take this in small bites because we're just going by the day. That's all we can do, because that's what we can really control in our lives, is just taking one moment of one day at a time. All right. So then at the event, you have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. So for family events, it's not as easy, especially when it's holiday parties and like, you know, the kids are opening gifts and there's food and maybe like it's a birthday. So there's cake and presents and all that stuff. Those are a little more structured. Whereas a networking event that is maybe an hour or two, you know, okay, I'm going to be there at this networking event for 2 hours. How much time do I need to prepare for this event? And since it's networking, maybe for your business, or if it is a social event where you're just networking, kind of meeting people and having a good time, maybe a cocktail and some appetizers, then you know, okay, it's a 2 hour span of time. I'm going to get there maybe an hour, 45 minutes, depending on my energy level for the day. You kind of scan the room when you walk in. If you see people that you know, go to those people and use them as your connector. Because if you're an introvert and you are feeling very drained that day already, find someone that maybe can lift you up or connect you with someone. So go to that person and, you know, start chatting with them, have them introduce you to the group that they're with. And then once you can talk with that friend and say, okay, I'm here only for 45 minutes. I'd like to be connected with this person and this person. You can say 1 to 2 people, or if you have a little more time and energy, it could be 3, 4 people. So find those people in the room that you know that are maybe a little more social or extroverted and cling to them for a little bit until they introduce you to someone. And then you can kind of make your way around the room with that group. So having that strategy of knowing how much time you're going to be, especially at an event. If it's a family event, what I recommend for those are if there's someone in your family or a group of people that maybe doesn't support you in what you do or you believe in, or maybe they're just more of a negative person. What you could do is just say hello to them and then stay as far away from them as possible. And if for some reason they sit across from you at the table, you know, that's okay. You can step away for a moment before you start eating and, you know, excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, take 5 deep breaths and say, you know, just tell yourself it's going to be okay. And sort of put that little bubble around you so that that negative energy or that heavy energy it just kind of bounces off of you. So yeah, and then after obviously eating or, you know, having a conversation with that person, you can remove yourself and go have fun with some kids or someone that's really fun in your group. Because if you hang around that draining person, you're going to feel really drained. And especially if it's a family thing where you have to be there for a certain amount of time because, you know, the kids are involved and there's presents and cake and desserts and all the fun traditions that you have to have your time to, you have to have your energy to span the whole length of time. And of course, you know, taking little air breaks outside or bathroom breaks to, you know, put your little headphones on and just be like, well, I drank a lot of water today, so I have to pee a lot. That's a good excuse. So yes, having your strategy is huge during your event or social networking. And then of course, afterwards, you're going to be like your cell phone and you're going to plug yourself back in and you're going to do those self-care activities. Another important thing afterwards is to make sure that you have time alone, or if it's just with your spouse or, you know, one person, or if you do need to be just alone with yourself and your thoughts, plugging yourself in to do the self-care activities, make sure that you're planning for that time. So it could be half hour, 45 minutes on the drive home, or once you get home, you lock yourself in your bedroom or in a room where it's dark and quiet. You could go take a bath, to relax, to recharge, turn off the lights, maybe light some candles, put some Epsom salt, some essential oils in the bath, and take your time that you need to recharge, because the before and the after, those are going to help you during the actual social event. And once you start to know your energy level and how much you can handle, how many people you can handle talking to and listening to, then you'll get into a good routine of, hey, maybe I can do this today. And then maybe you can recognize, I'm not going to be able to do that today. I'm not going to be able to go and spend an hour with a whole group of strangers that's just gonna strain my energy too much. So, you have to weigh it out. So now that I've given you a little bit of information, I want to hear from you all. So if you're able to, we'll go around the room same as we did before. And if there's anything that is maybe your favorite self-care activity, or maybe this is something that you have been practicing for a while, the before, during, and after strategy, you can really share anything that has come up. Maybe you took a little bit of notes while I was talking. So I will go around the room. Leslie, if you would like to start, can unmute.
Sure. Okay, so when you were talking, I was thinking about I started going to a Wednesday night Bible study with my mother-in-law. And I remember the very first meeting we went to, there was a lot of people, there was a lot of conversations, like there was food involved, there was music, like it was just a lot. There was candles, like it was just a whole lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. So the next week, I made sure that I took like 30 minutes to an hour before I went and just did nothing, just rested and, tried to prepare myself mentally, like, okay, there's going to be a lot of people. So yeah, I think implementing that in every area more will be really helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you recognize that too, because yes, sometimes you get to situations and you're like, I can't handle this. And you almost do that where you like lean back and you take a deep breath. You're like, oh no.
Exactly.
You sort of feel everything tense up, your stomach go in knots a little bit. And it's like, okay. And then, you can remove yourself, go to the bathroom, talk to yourself like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be great. I can leave early. I can make an excuse as to why I need to leave.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad that you recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela.
Okay, so as you were giving us some ideas and some thoughts that were so good, I know one of the things that I've learned this year, and a lot from this group, is the art of saying no. And just, I have a lot of little ones too. And so we, especially during this time, it's like every night of the week, there could potentially be something else. Like this week, it's been every single night of the week. And sometimes it's multiple things in multiple days. And there are some places and spaces where I can actually just say no. And maybe not as much to my kids in their concerts and activities, but certainly in things that someone is just wants me to be there, and that is so sweet. And I am glad to be included, but that doesn't mean that I have to say yes to everything. And so, especially on weeks where I know that I'm going to be around a lot of people, maybe even in newer places that I don't know a lot of people, I'll purposefully leave like a night or something, or a couple nights in that week where I'm just a little bit more chill. And then we are gonna not even make anything that day, at home. We're gonna get dinner out or something so that it kind of levels it out. So I've noticed, like for me, that even if I physically can do the thing, mentally there's a cap. And so yeah, so that's kind of what I would do for self-care, is to plan chunks of yes, saying no when I can, and then chunks of time where I can just recharge. I
Mhm.
love your phone analogy. I've never heard that before, but it's
Oh
like
yeah.
that visual was so perfect. I was like, yes, we
Uh,
charge everything else. Why wouldn't we charge ourselves?
Yeah.
So,
So when I did this little talk, I think it was like 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, for my engaging speakers group, they I was just looking at quotes for introverts, and I found a quote that I don't know where it is right now, but it said something about being plugged in and, recharging your batteries. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so genius.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone's agreeing with you. There's so much power in saying no, and the more you say no, the easier it gets. I'm definitely a work in progress. I think we all are, because like I said yes to my older sister to watch her kids yesterday, and then I had to reschedule with Leslie. We were supposed to have a Zoom yesterday and catch up because we have some things going on, and we want to see, what's going on with each other. And um I had a couple appointments in the morning, and then I had an appointment in the morning, and then I had lunch with my younger sister, and then I was going to have Leslie, and then I said, you know what? I need to get some work done. Like, I wanted to send out my newsletter. So I took that time to be productive. I scheduled my newsletter, and I even got the next one set up. So it was a very productive time. And then I was able to see my husband before, or when he got home, and then before I left to go watch the kids. So yes, sometimes in your head, you're like, I could totally do this. And then it comes to the day and you're like, why did I schedule so much? Yeah. So I got to yesterday morning and I was like, I need to reschedule Leslie because I know she'll understand. And yeah, I mean, it just happened. So recognizing that, I mean, that's like I said in the beginning, recognizing it is key to knowing, that you can either move forward or you need to take a pause and do a little self-care. Yes, we don't always know how we're going to feel mentally and physically from day to day. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, you just never know. Thank you. All right, Richard.
Well, for me, like for self-care is I always have to take some time out for myself. And lately around our house, it's been kind of crazy because fairly recently my son got diagnosed with ADHD and neurodivergent, the older one. So
Mhm.
it's been a challenge, for me and my wife. And it's like some days it's like when she's stressed out, I'm taking over with Rico, the one who's the ADHD, and then my younger son Xander, he's a year and a half and he's toddler mode already, so he's into everything. And so it's like just a challenge dealing with that. So what I do is I like when everyone goes to bed, when my wife goes to bed, when everyone's in bed, I take at least a half hour for myself. I
So
just really breathe and just reflect on the day. And yeah, because that's around the time, like you said, the cell phone analogy, when I'm about to plug my battery in.
yeah.
So like it just take a deep breath for the rest of the day. And then also before I go to parties, like whether it's family or my wedding. Most recently, my cousin's wedding, because I was going to see family hadn't seen in years. And I took a little time out for myself to, just breathe. And like about an hour before, was time to myself, just reflect and because one of my things is like I get nervous. Like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I make someone upset? And then I just learned that there's nothing I can do. I have to just be rich. If I make someone upset, I make someone upset. Not purposely, but if I do, it's nothing I can't control how someone's gonna feel. I
Hmm.
can't. And
Right.
I'll always worry about that.
Yeah. And we have to think about ourselves and what's best for us. And I'm sure you've heard that saying, you do you.
Uh-huh.
It's like, don't worry about what someone is going. I mean, yes, you obviously don't want to hurt someone's feelings intentionally, but we can only control what's going on. And I think that's what Leslie just said. Yes, we can only change or control how we feel or we react, not what others think or do. So true. Like, yeah, we can only control our feelings and the words that come out of our mouth. And if for some reason you do offend someone, then that's the person that you just stay away from for the rest of the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's good. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
Oh, I have someone that I want to connect you with, Richard, who he used to come to our meetings. Brian King,
Uh-huh.
he works with the neurodivergent community.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so I wrote a
Awesome.
note
Thank you.
to make a connection.
Oh, definitely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, we're up
Thank
to
you.
Nita.
I try to exercise every morning before my day gets going. Notice I say try, but when I don't, if I have to head out or it's a weekend and we have plans, 6 o'clock or so, whatever, it's like, no, I am not leaving until I stretch and do some things. And I have been slacking off on meditation, and I can tell I need to get up earlier, go to bed earlier, get up earlier, and take more of that time for me in the morning instead of ending up, if I'm listening to a meditation, it's at night when I'm too tired to fully absorb it. I have managed to work with my breathing. But I love the idea of the little breaks during the day. If I'm upset or something's going on, or I'm entering an unfamiliar situation, I'm really good at 5 breaths and start at the top and, let it all go down. But the concept of the mini breaks to kind of fuel me up during the day is not something I'd ever thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Or the plug in. I'm getting a lot better at saying, okay, it's time to leave, hun. Or I'm leaving. You want to stay? That's fine. But I love the concept of an anchor person at events. Vendor events where I have to make small talk with a bunch of people I don't know. That has never been a talent of mine. People I know, I could talk to for hours, and someone will say, I can't believe you have trouble in groups. Well, when I don't know people, I will always, I don't know what to say. And you can have all the lines, that you learn to open conversations. But having someone there's always someone that I know and saying, hey, could you introduce me to a couple people? Just a simple ask. And asking is something that's really hard for me.
Yes.
You think you're better off, or you're trained to be more self-reliant and not ask and not show that side. But just asking for help. That was brilliant.
Yeah, the asking for help, I started doing that a couple of years ago because I was doing all the things in my business. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And then things would fall behind, especially on like paperwork, inputting receipts into my computer. And I'd wait till the end of the year. And then I was scrambling to get all my receipts. Like, what if I ask for help? What if someone can just help, like my husband? When I ask him for help, it just like a weight gets lifted off of me. And I can use the example from writing my story for the Baton Pass for Angela's group. And I had written a story that was about 15 minutes long where I spoke it out, and I had to condense it down to 750 words. And I didn't know how I was supposed to do that. And I was like, what do I do? I wanted to ask Angela for help, but I first wanted to condense it at least down to, 1,000 words or less. And so one day I was working on it. I was just like, honey, I need your help. And he was like, okay. So he stopped everything. We had it all on a Google Doc. He recreated the Google Doc, like he made a new copy of it. And then he just condensed it down to like maybe 900 words. And I was right there with him. So he's like, I don't want to change the story. I want to make sure that you get your point across. But I'm going on and on and on. But the point is, you need to ask for help. It is so much better when you ask for that help. And I can relate, especially as a child, when I was held back and I thought I was stupid and I was too afraid to raise my hand in class. And if I said the wrong thing or if I sounded stupid, like everyone's going to laugh at me. And so I think, like, even to this day, sometimes I'm like, why don't I ask for help? Because things just click so much better. Or, someone's like, okay, I have this aspect or this thought. And then you're like, well, why didn't I think of that? And entrepreneurs, we work in our own business, or introverts, we're inside of our heads all day thinking and sometimes spiraling out. And so, yeah, that's so good that you brought that up, because asking for help it just like takes that weight off of you and you can delegate it. Or if you have to continue doing it yourself, at least it takes less time. So good. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I love talking about this stuff. I think there was a few other things I wanted to share in the self-care activities. I know Angela loves to read a good book. I'm not one to sit down and actually read books. So because I'm in the car quite a bit, I love Audible. I love podcasts. So I put those on when I'm driving in the car. Not always is that like recharging my battery, but at least I know I'm learning something. And then if I feel like, okay, my brain is just too like there's too much going on in my brain, then I'll put on some music. And lately I've been listening to Christmas music. So I just bop my head in the car and sometimes I sing. And I always think that's such a fun time to sing songs, especially like for me, I'm not a good singer. I don't have a good voice, but I just love singing out loud. And I know a lot of people love to sing out loud in the car or in the shower or whatever. So yes, Audible is so awesome, Leslie, especially for driving. Yep. It's my favorite thing to do too. Yeah. I think I've been an Audible member for probably like 10 years now. And my older sister was the one that told me about it. She's like, you need to do this. And so I don't remember the book she recommended, but yeah, I absolutely love it. I think I get 2 credits a month, which is plenty for me. And, just kind of go along with my book. Sometimes I re-listen to books, which I love, because sometimes when you're driving, you're like kind of listening, but kind of not. So you miss a bunch. So yeah, but if you are that person that likes to have the book in front of you and sit down and read, that's a great activity to recharge your batteries. Does anyone play games or not on your phone games, but like board games, card games, crossword puzzles, like where you're actually circling it with a pen on paper? No?
Word searches.
Actually, sometimes if like I have felt like I haven't connected with my family very well because we're all running, we'll play like a couple games of poker at the end of the night. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know. We can talk through it too. So it's just like we're just chat for a couple minutes and play poker. So yeah.
Yeah. Leslie, you were gonna say something too.
What was I gonna say?
Something about games?
Where I like doing word searches or the Sudoku puzzles, and then if my dad can convince everybody when we're all together, he loves to play Scrabble. Like, that's like his thing.
Yeah, actually, my husband and I played 2 games of Scrabble the other night.
Nice.
And the first game was like kind of lame. We started out with like 3 and 4 letter words. And it was like,
Hmm.
what is going on? Neither one of us had good letters. So I think he won by maybe 10 or some points. So then we played again and I totally kicked his butt. But yeah, we absolutely love Scrabble. That's like one of our favorite games to play together.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. My mom hates it though. It's kind of funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that game because obviously if your brain is overloaded, maybe it's not a good game for that. But
Yeah.
if you're thinking, you get to be creative and it's just it's just a fun game to do. The other game that I like is Life, Uno, and then we have a game in our family that my younger sister found years ago. It's called Three Card, and we taught my oldest nephew Zachary to play it, and eventually we'll teach the younger two to play it. But yeah, we've taught all of our friends. Angela, we still have to we have to teach you when we go to Arizona. But it's just a fun time, like instead of just sitting watching TV or sitting in silence, we have music in the background and you play cards. I think cards are great, whatever kind of card game that you play. Yeah.
We do Scrabble too, and we just got that National Parks game when it was on sale.
Hmm.
Once you really know the strategies, it becomes a little more basic. You can kind of see what the other person's doing. It's like, I know where your mind is on that, but then it's, how am I going to block that path for you? And it's kind of fun because we're outdoor people and we love national parks and outside. And then
Awesome.
there's taco pizza. I can't think of the other word right now. It's 3 cards, but you know it one way and you have to read it off the card and get it right. So we play that with our 8-year-old.
Okay.
She had that game, and now we got a copy, and sometimes we'll take it to game nights. And it really is hard because your brain wants to say things in the order that you've learned it and that it's coming up the most. And then when it's in a different order, you mess it up a lot of times, and it gets really funny.
Yeah, you'll have to put that in our little chat when you come up with the name.
Oh,
'Cause-
look up on a shelf.
yeah,
I will have to put it in.
yeah, just let us know.
Got my game shelf. Now it's bugging me.
So, Leslie, you're competitive in your games, your game playing.
Oh, it's I think the introvert leaves me when
Yeah.
I start like playing games and stuff. We had a personality, like it was this event at church several years ago, and you took a color personality test thing, and then they grouped you by your color, and I scored a blue. And everyone on the team was like, "Why are you here? Why aren't you with the red ones? You're controlling and crazy." And like, because I was just like so excited to win. I don't know. I've always been super competitive, but yeah.
That's funny. I think I'm the only person I'm really competitive with is my husband when we play Scrabble or like Life or something. Or when we play Rummy, he always kicks my butt. Always. His strategy is like I can't figure it out.
Is he a risky person? Because I think my husband always kicks my butt too. And it's because he takes these like audacious risks. I'm like,
Yeah, I
no.
guess.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? I don't know. But
I think you got to know what kind of games are good for you too. Like, I'm not good at strategy games, but I'm so great at random trivia games. Like, so logic and strategy games are not like as fun and recharging, but you know what is where you can kick somebody's butt in like categories or something. Like,
yeah.
I'm
Categories. I
so
think I
bad
played
at
that
those.
recently.
oh, really? Either it's one or the other. Usually, like people love one type of game and they're just like no. But yeah.
So it's called Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just this little card game. Kids love it.
Oh, we'll have to get that because my niece and nephews are coming out to Arizona for a week. So
Oh, fun.
yeah, we'll have to do a little card night with them. So they're not just on their iPads all week. Yeah. Well, I think this was an amazing conversation. I appreciate you all being here, and I'm so glad that it worked out on a Wednesday at 1:00 that we were able to have this little pop-up networking for introverts. Are there any final words that you want to share before
Well,
we
I
close up?
accomplished self-care big time today. There was a Zoom I could have done from a vendor,
Ah,
but there was this. That was not a make it or break it, a mass one where they don't even know how many people are there. Yes, I could have learned something, but what I learned here was much more important for me.
oh, good. Thank you. I'm so
Thank you,
glad that you were
everyone.
here.
Part of learning to say no.
Exactly. Yes, we're going to take some of these tips and techniques that we learned today, and we are going to apply them to our next events and even we can apply it today. You can take a few minutes before you go on to your next call or meeting, or Richard, after you have to go back to work after this. So maybe take a few minutes just to close your eyes and just kind of go over what happened during this meeting and move on with your day with ease and confidence and energy.
You read my mind.
Awesome.
And I love the concept of turning off what my husband calls my monkey brain. There's
Mhm.
always stuff up there and
Always.
always spinning.
Yes. Yeah.
But I need to turn it off more times during the day. Little bites.
Little bites. Exactly. Yep. I love those mini breaks throughout the day. So good. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And I will see Angela probably soon. Well, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like so soon. I'm so excited.
Yay. And then I will see the rest of you very soon, probably in January on our networking for introverts call. And I will put out a poll. So maybe we will adjust the day and the time. So yeah, stay tuned for that. All right.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Sabrina.
day. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. Take care. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Take care.
Happy
Happy holidays.
holidays.
Yeah.
Yes.